Hey guys, it's Yankee Prepper, and you are looking at projects completed or being completed on my vehicles. I thought this would be a good opportunity to go over several do-it-yourself repairs that are very common and will save quite a bit of money if a person is willing to do them themselves. It will also extend the life of the vehicle, also saving you money. But before I show you that, I want to share with you how I actually got here, because I think that's even more important. This was a pretty big decision for me. Over a decade ago. It's a quintessential decision when delving deeper into the prepping lifestyle. It's as big of a decision as it was to enable my house to go off-grid heat with wood-burning stoves. And after over a decade, basically, of success with this personal experiment, I think I got something to share with you, and I want to, give you my thoughts on it. Now, of course, I got to have a disclaimer for this because it's just the way things are here. But with almost everything that I post on my channel, these are my own experiences and what has worked for me. I will go right ahead and predict that this will not work for most of the people on YouTube, especially the prepper community. And it's not that what I'm doing here is particularly hard, but it's that it's much more difficult than buying a gun or sitting on your couch talking or playing G.I. Joe or Doomsday Ninja. It also demands a person to be somewhat disconnected from the current culture and the demands that that culture makes. And really, I think that is what it takes to pursue a prepper lifestyle. And this is all about laying some groundwork for what I'm talking with you about here, but in order to live a prepper lifestyle, you do have to disconnect yourself from the current culture and the mindset that it produces, and that it's taught and reinforced through mass marketing and behavior training every day through the whole of the media, which has really trapped the majority of the population. Now, over a decade ago, we made the decision we were never going to buy another new car again, nor were we going to make payments on one. Now, up until that time, I'd only made payments on one vehicle my entire life, and even that was for a short time. Even when I was young and dumb, I was at least smart enough to realize that making payments or debt is a trap. And making payments on a car is definitely a trap. It's one of the many traps that makes up the engine of consumerism, and millions of Americans are in that trap. The car really isn't yours, guys, if you're making a payment on it. You are a slave to whoever you are making that payment to. So the question you need to ask yourself is, I think, when you're making a payment, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that in the first place? If you're going into debt to impress someone, then you are a fool. If you are going into debt to feel better, you are a fool. And that feel better high that you're going to get from buying something new and making payments on it is really fleeting. It's going to, last for a very short time, and then you're going to have to buy something else, which is really, the wheel of debt. Now, given I've done a lot of stupid things when I was young, and I still pull some pretty stupid things off now, I guess, but going into debt is not one of those stupid things. I'm not going in the debt or becoming a slave to impress anyone. Impressing people with what I want to do or what I need to do has never been my thing anyway. Along with only making payments on one vehicle my entire life, and that was for a very short time. I paid it off right away because of how it made me feel. I had only bought a new car for the first time in my life when I was married. I bought new cars for my wife. Maybe it was a guy thing, but I just wanted her to be in the new cars. And I always got the stuff that, I could take, down to the river or hunting with and get in muddy and put in muddy dogs. I just never needed a new car or felt like I needed a new car. So now the decision not to buy a new car was based on just looking at what a poor decision that is. Anytime you buy a new vehicle of any kind, the moment that you drive it off the lot, you have lost a significant amount of money. And you steadily lose money as time goes on. When you think about how many thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that people are paying each model year for different formed plastics and different placed plastic chrome, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I also made that decision based on the greed and corruption that I was seeing at both the unions and the corporate manufacturers, of which both are responsible for the destruction of their own industries, the automobile industry. Based upon what I was seeing, neither the unions or the corporations had any loyalty for me, and so hence I was not going to have any loyalty for them anymore. And that brings up the whole idea of brand loyalty in our modern times. To me, it's just another tax on the stupid. I don't care anymore about Chevy or Ford or Mopar. What I care about is what works well. And all of these, Chevy, Ford, Mopar, all of them have crappy cars and all of them have good cars. The key is finding the good ones. And that leads me up to the vehicles that I have now and why I chose them for this particular experiment in the prepper lifestyle. Now, my wife got to choose what type of vehicle she wanted to drive, but I got to choose the drivetrain because I was going to be the guy working on it. Now, she was heavily into small children at the time and chose a minivan. So I chose the 3.3 Chrysler Town & Country. Now, the 3.3 Mopar has got to be one of the best engines that Mopar ever produced. In fact, that's why taxi drivers love these engines. They're so reliable. This really turned out to be a winner decision. And because of that, there's so many of these engines on the road that parts are available and always in stock. Those are the two strongest elements in my decision making when I'm choosing these vehicles. How well they're built, you know, what is their reliability score, and are parts available. It's great if you have a really reliable engine, but if it's really hard to get parts, it doesn't pay off. Those are my two motivating factors: parts availability and endurance on the engine. The third factor I use is miles per gallon when choosing a vehicle that I'm going to commit myself to, and this vehicle gets great miles per gallon. In fact, this is a hybrid that's able to use the really crappy ethanol blend fuels. Now, we bought this 10 years ago for about 15 grand. It had low miles. I let someone else buy it new and pay the big cost, and I came in and scooped it up. And if you do the math on that, that cost us at this point approximately $1,200 a year or $100 a month, plus the maintenance that I put into it. That's pretty cheap. Now, as many of you know, my truck is the Suburban, and I chose it for my personal needs and the hobbies that I pursue. Many of you won't need a vehicle this big. Maybe you just need a Golf diesel to go back and forth to work. But for what I do, and doing, you know, whether it's going hunting or fishing or canoeing or boating, the things that I like to do, hauling stuff, even for work, I needed a bigger vehicle. And in this vehicle, I really do. I don't regret any part of my decision in buying it. In fact, I can't even buy a brand new vehicle that will do what this vehicle will do. But still, I use the same three factors that I used in the van. I wanted a vehicle that's extremely reliable. The 6.5 is a reliable motor if you know how to take care of it. I chose it for the availability of parts. This engine is used in everything. It's used in everything, both on the military and civilian side. There's just parts everywhere for this thing. I've never ever had to wait for parts. Neither have I had to wait for parts on the van. This was a major factor when I broke down in Indiana. That was the first breakdown that I've had with any of these vehicles in over 10 years. And I was able to go into town to Podunk, Indiana and retrieve, you know, an oddball part because these engines are just everywhere. They're used so much. And of course, this does get excellent miles per gallon for a truck this big. I mean, it's over an 8,000-pound truck. Gets, you know, if I drive it nice, it gets 22 miles to the gallon. Now, this vehicle I bought probably close to 15 years ago, and we paid $20,000 cash for it. But if you work the math out again, that's only $1,300, approximately $1,300 a year, which turns out, you know, $108 a month. And with this particular vehicle, because of its rarity, it's actually going up in price. You know, they only made diesel Suburbans for a short time, and they're actually increasing in value. If you keep these vehicles in good shape, I mean, where can you get a new car that's going up in value? This car is actually increasing in value and will continue to do so. Now, this vehicle was not part of the original plan. It just kind of worked out, and you know, I'm grateful that it did. I think we were kind of led in the right direction to make this work. This is a 3.8 GM, which is a very common, very reliable engine with tons of parts out there. Again, used in all kinds of commercial vehicles, especially taxis. And I picked this up at an auction for less than $3,000 a decade ago. So if you do the math on that, you're looking at $250 a year, maybe $20 a month. Now, the reason why I say this wasn't planned, because we just planned on committing the two vehicles for this experiment, and you know, I would work on them and maintain them to keep them going. But for the price of this and having a third vehicle, so when one vehicle is down and I'm doing something with it, even to run to go get parts, it doesn't disrupt our lives at all. Now I have to say that the problem with this vehicle sits for long periods of time. In fact, this is the first time I've started this vehicle up since last fall. So it's one of these things I have to maintain even to keep the fuel fresh in it. So it's a nicety. In fact, it's kind of a luxury, but it's so little in cost that it's well worth it. I think having the third vehicle really made this easy for us both. This gets the best fuel mileage. It's the oldest vehicle I got, and it gets the best fuel mileage, by the way. It's like driving a couch. These Buicks are excellent with all the bells and whistles, and it gets over 30 miles per gallon on the highway. Now I want to say too that this is not like you know, hick Sanford & Son stuff. We don't have car parts hanging out in the yard or vehicles sitting out in the yard. I maintain these to as close to new operating condition as I can. That means I don't allow any rust. It's not that I care what people are going to think, but we have a certain bar that we want to maintain. And I think just like keeping yourself clean and dressing well goes along with keeping your car in a good upkeep and appearance. That's my point of view. Now I'm going to end this part of the video by saying that this experiment, this little experiment into the prepper lifestyle, has been an incredible success, and that's why I wanted to share it with you. I thought this was a good moment while I'm working on these vehicles. Now the thing is, you do have to maintain your vehicle, but think about, I tried to calculate how much money we've probably saved over the last decade by choosing this route or choosing this lifestyle over choosing a brand new car and or payments. I mean, it's incredible. How many more family vacations have I been able to go on with my family and the memories that I've created with them, or the other things that have made a better quality for our life. My wife and I have taken time off from work because we're not forced to be on the treadmill to try to keep up with all these payments, trying to keep the status quo. And we haven't suffered for this at all. That's my point. This has been a real solid decision. It's been a real success over the past 10 years. Lastly, I want to say that this really does build. I mean, think about, it's like going to school for 10 years. It really does build a significant skill, not only with these engines in particular, but just your mechanical skill in general, with all engines. It's a skill that you can actually make money at. I've been paid to repair other people's vehicles, and I can't imagine the applications if things really were to go bad, whether, you know, we go into an economic depression. Having these skills could make the difference of putting bread on the table or being able to maintain your own vehicle. It's going to serve you the rest of your life. The real question is, in order to pursue this, are you strong enough to reject the needs or what the world is telling you how you have to live? Are you strong enough to reject the status quo to pursue this? We did, and we pursued it, and we're very happy that we did.